Hey guys, I'm Saurabh. Welcome to the channel. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about the new ZHIYUN Crane 4. I've had this gimbal for over a month, and in this video, I'm going to share my experience with it. Disclaimer, ZHIYUN did send me this gimbal and this video is sponsored by them. However, all the opinions I share in this video are 100% based on my experience with this gimbal. I uploaded a teaser last week and I'm so proud of how it turned out. If you haven't seen it, without wasting any time, let's get started. I hope you enjoyed that intro as much as I did making it. Now the Crane 4 weighs just under 1700 grams, way lighter than the Crane 3S. It's not the lightest gimbal out there in the market, but there is a good reason for it. This is a heavy-duty gimbal with great build quality throughout, with a lot of metal and high-quality plastic. It is made for handling heavy camera setups without any issues. I am using the Nikon Z9. That's not a compact camera, it's opposite of what compact means. It's tall, it's wide, but the Crane 4 handles it effortlessly. The reason why the gimbal handles heavier camera setups comfortably is the long arm length. I've also seen some people using compact film cameras with this gimbal. That is crazy. While balancing the gimbal, the axis locks comes in very handy, and the silicone protective sleeve is a very nice addition, and it protects the gimbal while traveling. The grip feels quite comfortable to hold. The way it's designed, your hand rests pretty comfortably. When you're shooting for longer period of time, your hands will eventually get tired. That is where the sling grip and the wrist support comes into the picture. You can adjust the length of the sling grip and the angle of the wrist support very easily. Initially, I thought the wrist support is a gimmick, but after using this gimbal, I realized it's a game changer. Every gimbal should have a wrist support. Why? Because when you're holding the gimbal in a particular way for a longer period of time, your wrist is under a lot of pressure. And the wrist support provides good support to the wrist, and when you're shooting for longer duration, you will realize how helpful it is. There's also a Titanic wrench which attaches magnetically to the bottom of the gimbal, and the magnets are pretty strong. You don't have to carry any extra tools while carrying the gimbal. You can quickly switch from landscape orientation to portrait orientation by attaching the quick release module to the side of the gimbal. Obviously, you will have to rebalance the gimbal since the orientation is changed, but this setup is much more comfortable for those portrait shots. You have a 1.22-inch touchscreen which is very bright and easy to view in daylight, and it's quite responsive. The menu system is pretty straightforward and it didn't take much time to get used to. The one I have is a pre-production model, but the final model comes with the balance indicators. These lights help you to understand whether you have balanced the gimbal properly. Now this is a super important feature. Reason being, 1. If you haven't balanced the gimbal properly, you won't get the best stabilization that the gimbal can offer. 2. The battery will drain quickly because the motors are doing the extra work because the gimbal is not balanced properly. And 3. Since the motors are being overloaded, in the long run, it will get damaged, and that's not good for the gimbal. So balancing the gimbal is very important, and these balance indicators make it easy. One more tip for balancing the gimbal is calibrating it. Once you turn on the gimbal, go to settings, auto calibration, and start calibrating. It takes a few seconds and you're good to go. At the start of the video, when I said this is not the lightest gimbal out there in the market, there is actually an advantage to it. As I said, this gimbal is made for heavier camera setups. Doesn't matter what camera and lens combination I threw at this gimbal, the footages were extremely stable with almost no micro jitter. Lightweight camera setups are easier for the gimbal to handle, but the tricky part is heavier camera setups, and that is where this gimbal really shines. This is by far one of the most stable gimbals I've used till date. This hyperlapse is actually a video hyperlapse where I was just walking in a straight direction. and you can see how stable the video is without any extra post stabilization added to it. For cameras that support Bluetooth connection, you can start and stop the recording by pressing this particular button. And since this is working on Bluetooth, there are no wires involved and it keeps the setup simple. The joystick is placed at a convenient position. Even if you're using the gimbal with one hand, the joystick is easy to use. You can triple tap this button to bring it to selfie mode, and you can reset the gimbal by pressing double tap. Below the tap button, there is a front wheel, and you can customize this front wheel to change your ISO, aperture or shutter speed. You can change the camera settings internally provided your camera is compatible with the gimbal. Talking about the battery, if you're using a PD fast charger, you can charge this gimbal from 0 to 100 in just 1 hour 50 minutes. Runtime on paper is 12 hours. Now, I did not shoot for 12 hours straight. I normally shoot for 3 to 4 hours, then I get tired. But once I charge it completely, it's enough for 4 or 5 days of shooting. To conclude the video, the Crane 4 is an extremely capable gimbal and it's going to be a part of my filmmaking kit. If I'm using lightweight cameras and lenses, I will prefer something like a VBL 3S for a compact setup. But when I'm using heavier cameras and heavier lenses, this built like a tank Crane 4 is a much better option. That's it from this video, guys. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you ZHIYUN for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, press the like button, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's reach 1 million as soon as possible. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.